I've got a classic memory of actually in Thailand in the first university moment, and I was sitting on a boat listening to Jebediah's first album, Going Over the Wave. It just sticks in my mind. We were both singing along to it until, so time of your life, yeah.
I haven't seen them in 5 years. Yeah, 5 years. It's a long time not to see your favourite band.
Any Jebediah gig I've been to, the crowd's there to have a good time, and the band will totally give them the freedom to do that. It's great. There's not enough Aussie bands like that.
It's just the music, and his voice, and what's not to love?
Kosciuszko. 3, 2, 1.
In the very early days, everything was just a bit of a shock to us. It was either a shock if it actually happened, or it seemed kind of a little bit absurd if someone was, was putting an idea forward about how things would go.
We were so caught up in our own wild ride that we were just sort of being swept along doing what we were doing, and I mean at the time we were meeting all these bands that we idolised and were big fans of, and got to play gigs with them all.
We didn't really have any aspirations to make records at that point. When we first started out, it was all about playing live, really. You know, enjoying each other's company and writing songs and getting stoned and partying and having fun.
Without having to sort of organise it too much, we were all committed to the band to see how far it would go, and I think everyone was really happy with where it ended up taking us.
Once we started, which was probably in about 1996, we didn't really stop until 2005. And yeah, like I said, we were proud of how much we toured. It was a badge of honour to play as much as possible.
In the first tour we went on, then led into the next tour, and before we knew it, we were on the road for pretty much 10 years solid.
We were 17 when we started touring. It was really awesome to be involved with a label like Murmur as well. Murmur had a lot of cool bands on the roster. I mean, just getting invited to see a Silverchair gig or something like that was really exciting.
There's no way that we would have done what we did if Murmur wasn't our label.
Because even though they were part of a much bigger company, we were shielded from a lot of that.
Harpoon clip, all the animation for that clip was done on this one bit of paper. It was like done with like charcoal, I think, and like she'd just like do up her thing and then like rub out and then do the next bit. And the last thing she did was this, which was a copy of the cover. It's actually a photo that my dad took. And yeah, and this was the final one.
I think we were or yeah, pretty naive about what we were achieving. We were having too much fun to kind of get caught up. We'd put out our second album overseas on an independent label and spent time in America as an independent act. And that was around about the time where we started our own label, just to release maybe some bands of friends of ours in bands. The corporate element of the music industry was really starting to probably drag us down a little bit. So in that respect, it was great being independent and being able to make our own decisions.
Looking back now, we probably, we're hoping to somehow be a successful enough record that we can continue doing Jebediah and not need type sort of investment in the band to come from somewhere else, so that we could finance ourselves and hopefully reap a reward from doing so.
That sort of saved the band. The fact that we did that on our own, it was exactly how we wanted it to be.
Once we'd finished promoting Braxton Hicks, we didn't. If we had felt like we needed to jump in and write another record straight away, I'm sure we would have, but I think at that stage we knew Kev was going to be doing a solo album as well.
Remember we got together at the Hyde Park Hotel in Perth. We must have been playing a show, and I think perhaps there'd been a little bit of talk about taking a little break, because we'd been going for 10 years at that point.
At the time, after 10 years, having no sort of, no ability to be free or do what you wanted because something band related might come up. That was definitely sort of part of the discussion that, we would take 6 months off.
It was good just to pull back from, a fairly extensive schedule and just relax for a while.
It was a chance to live a more normal life.
We were always, getting together and jamming and writing intermittently in that time, but I guess that sort of that 6 month break, it sort of rolled into 4 years,
Just a case of coming back into it when it felt that it was time, and that happened very naturally.
I always kind of thought we had another record in us, and probably as time went on, the more time we had apart, the more determined I became to make another record, because the longer we went without making one, the more people doubted that, said that we were split up, and you kind of, after a while, I think maybe it's part of my nature to kind of want to prove people wrong. Started with demoing at the end of 2007, and the first proper recording block was probably mid-2008.
We were just recording bits and pieces, kind of with a view to putting together a record.
We did it just in sort of 2-week blocks on and off for 3 years.
And then as we got in a bit of a roll and we sort of were writing more songs, and everyone started to get more and more excited, because the reality of the fact that we were making a record was sort of staring us in the face by that stage.
This record we recorded it all at Blackbird Studios in Perth, which is the studio owned by Dave Parkin, who's a friend of ours.
I mean, that was pretty much as pure as it gets. Over those few years, we were just getting together sporadically.
No rules, so anyone could do whatever they wanted. If they didn't want to rock up, if they wanted to rock up late, if they didn't want to play, whatever.
The rewards that have come from making the record the way that we made it have been fully, realised, and so it's everything that I hoped it would be.
They're all songs that I love. I love playing. I love listening to them. And that makes me really happy.
Certainly with the new stuff, it's a challenge, because half the time, for us anyway, you're not even 100% sure what you're supposed to be playing. You're still in the process of learning it, or You've really got to think about what you're doing because it's not, it's not ingrained.
Playing new songs is really exciting, but there's also this sort of comfort of playing the old songs that makes you really comfortable when you're playing. So you actually don't have to think. You can just stand back and enjoy and let your hands do what they've done a million times before.
I'm really looking forward to next year when we're playing with real regularity, and I think that's when we'll sort of hopefully be back at our best, hopefully better.
We'll always play music together, and whether that be in a rehearsal room or if it's playing more shows in venues.
Even though we have changed a lot and things aren't exactly the same as they were, 10, 15 years ago, when it's just the four of us in a room and the rest of the world doesn't exist, things do tend to be just the way they were,
As you get older, you realise how lucky you are to be able to be involved in something like that, and you don't take for granted, the fact that you don't have to wake up and go to work.
Even though everybody grows up and changes and their lives change and everything, it's the family thing kind of is enough to kind of keep you together.
Hanging out with those guys and playing music with those guys reminds me every time we're together of how much I love playing in this band. I mean, some of my favourite times are being locked in a rehearsal room and sort of not even really achieving much, but yeah, just hanging out, making noise, playing songs. I mean, some of that stuff is my favourite thing about playing in this band.